Hey guys, welcome back to Andy's Dinosaur Reviews. Today we are taking a look at another Safari LTD figure, and this one is for the brand new 2020 line from Safari LTD, and it is their Edmontosaurus. This is probably one of, if not my most anticipated figures from the Safari LTD 2020 line, because I was just absolutely blown away by the promotional images of this figure. I thought it looked beyond fantastic. Everything from the sculpt to the paintwork looked to be as top-notch as you could possibly expect on an Edmontosaurus figure, and I can definitely tell you that in person, those thoughts are still exactly the same, because this is such a beautiful figure in person. It is just absolutely breathtaking, and quickly has become my favorite of the Safari LTD 2020 year for sure. I haven't seen all of the figures quite yet, but as of the ones that I do have, this Edmontosaurus is my favorite. I can say that with complete confidence. It's such a beautiful looking figure. So without further ado, let's get a closer look at it right now. So starting up here at the head sculpt, you can definitely see straight away that the scale work on the face, the scale detail, is just ridiculously nice. If we get really close, look at how wonderful that fine scaling is all over the face. And actually up here on the crest as well. The scaling all over the head sculpt of this figure is just off the charts. Really nice work on the part of Doug Watson as far as the absolute majestic beauty of the figure, but in general, just how good of a job he has done here on the scales of the face. You can also get a really good idea of the bone structure in general, of the skull shape and everything like that all over the head sculpt. It looks really good. If you look up here at the crest, you can see again the very nice sculpt work as far as the scale work goes, but you can also see it has a very nice reddish, like a very dark red coloration, and kind of has this black run up into it. It looks really nice, just adding a bit of flashiness to the figure, but with some very realistic tones of color. I really love the crest up there. The mouth is sculpted out quite nicely. It's defined with a nice blackish coloration there for the mouth. You can see the beak is also sculpted quite beautifully. Really nice detailing throughout that area as well, and that has been given like a grayish type of a coloration. Looks really quite nice. The nostrils are also sculpted out quite beautifully, and they have been defined with a nice blackish coloration. And you can see at times when I'm turning it that there is a bit of a gloss coat there on the nostrils, so a little bit of an extra dose of realism that I absolutely love when companies do include on their figures. The eyes are really nice. I think the eye paint really sells the face overall. It's beautifully applied, and the eyes kind of appear to have like a dark wash that's surrounding the eye, and then you've got a really nice orange coloration for the eye, a black pupil, and a wonderful gloss coat on the eye, so the eye shines very realistically. And looking at the opposing side of the head, the eye looks exactly the same over here, so it's very consistent, no sloppiness at all when it comes to the eye paint, and it looks really good. The majority of the head is like this light brownish type of a color, and then you have some stripes here and there of a black coloration. Helps to give the face a very striking appearance, but once again, something that looks very natural on the animal. I really could see an Edmontosaurus having this type of a coloration. And then it transitions to a very dark black up here on the top of the head, and then that runs down here into the neck. As we go down into the neck, you can start to see the ear back here, and you can start to see some really nice scale work as we run down the neck, a little bit of skin folding and stuff here. Beautifully sculpted out throat as we lead down the body. We get down here into the shoulder blade. You can take note a bit of the shoulder blade there protruding from the skin. Some more really nice skin detail kind of showing movement within the sculpt as far as the way it's folding and stretching. Then we lead down here into the arm, and the scaling gets very fine the further down into the arm and then down into the hand that we go. Really nice, very fine scaling in the arm area, and you see a very similar appearance to the legs back here. Once we get to that point, you can see some more really nice skin folding and stuff going on, kind of the skin bunching up a little bit as this rear leg is pushing into the body. The scale detail all over the animal looks once again just absolutely beautiful. If you look at it from every possible vantage point, it really is quite breathtaking. Definitely quite a sculpt to behold for sure. You've got the hip bone here protruding from the skin quite nicely as well. Beautiful musculature here, really nicely sculpted out and defined. Very large calf muscle right there as we lead down the leg. And again, you can see the really nice scaling, kind of bigger larger type, beautiful scaling there. And then the further down into the leg we get, you tend to see that kind of diminish and turn into a much more finer type of a scaling. The foot sculpt here on the back looks great, really nicely painted nails, no sloppiness whatsoever. And then we come back up here into the tail. You can see the skin stretching off of the tail a little bit. Again, you're not going to ever see Safari LTD skimp out on showing movement throughout the sculpt in a very realistic fashion, and that is exactly what you see on this Edmontosaurus. As we lead back into the tail here, you can see lots of really nice scaling. Again, that same similar scaling that you saw all over the majority of the body. Really nice curve in the tail. I think the curve in this is really beautiful. Very majestic looking. You've also got a nice striping that kind of litters the tail as we lead out to the end of the tail to a very nice point. So the tail sculpt is just absolutely beautiful. It really complements the body. In general, the entire body is honestly sculpted beautifully. And then if we look at the opposing side of the head, again, the head sculpt looks great. Really nice work up there. As we start to lead down into the neck, once again, you can see the really nice scaling all over the neck. You can also take note of the throat again over here. You can really beautifully see some skin stretching here off of the body, again showing movement here in this leg. As the leg's pulling back a little bit, it would be stretching the skin right there. You can see this is very nice dark black kind of pickup and really overtake the majority of the arm. You've also got some stripes and stuff here. So it has a very nice, very strikingly dark appearance to the upper part of the body. And then we lead down into the legs. Once again, the foot looks great, really nicely sculpted and very fine detailing, very fine scaling down there. You can see the shoulder blade up here. Really nice skin folding. Once again, skin stretching off of the body as this leg is pulling it back. So they have beautifully paid attention to the very fine detailing of the figure. The scale work again looks fantastic in the stomach. Really wonderful scaling all over, and the paint application is beautifully applied. Very nice and very naturally applied. Then we get back here. You can see the hip bone once again a little bit there. Very nice musculature, very large scales. As we move down into the calf, it diminishes into a finer scaling. Again, the calf muscles are absolutely jacked, as you would expect them to be. Beautiful foot sculpt. Once again, very nicely painted nails. No sloppiness whatsoever. And then we come back up here into the tail, and we lead out that really nice, very beautifully curved tail, again with those stripes and the really nice scaling. The underside also looks really good. Beautiful scale work on the underside of the animal. Very nicely sculpted out cloaca back here just to make sure that it is as anatomically correct as possible. The upper side has that beautiful spine that runs down along the animal, and overall, this figure looks amazing from every possible vantage point. Really awesome stuff on the part of Safari LTD. As far as a size goes on our Edmontosaurus, from the tail to the head, you are looking at pretty much 10 inches right on the dot, or about 25.5, almost 26 centimeters. And for a height, about 3.5 inches to the top of the crest, or 9 centimeters, and to the top of the back, about 4 inches, or 10 centimeters. For a size comparison, here are a few blasts from the past when it comes to the Safari LTD line. We've got a very old Pachycephalosaurus, the older Allosaurus from Safari LTD, along with one of my all-time favorites from Safari LTD, and that would be their Monolophosaurus there in the front. So if you happen to have any of these three figures, you'll hopefully have a good idea as to what the size is on this Edmontosaurus. Honestly, it really is quite a sizable figure, probably the biggest from the Safari LTD line for the 2020 year. The only one I could think of that would be pretty close would be the Sarcosuchus. But as far as overall body mass, I'm pretty certain this Edmontosaurus takes the win. So this 2020 Safari LTD Edmontosaurus is just absolutely awesome. An incredibly beautiful figure created here by Safari LTD for this current year. I really think that as far as the overall line goes for the year, they did a great job. Some very cool species, but pulling out an Edmontosaurus was kind of unexpected for me. I did not at all expect an Edmontosaurus, but boy was I excited to find out that they were in fact creating one. It's definitely a very underrepresented species, that's for sure. Anytime we can get an Edmontosaurus figure, I'm very excited, and this one specifically is quite possibly the best Edmontosaurus figure that I have ever seen. It really is just fantastic. The scaling and everything all over the body is just beautiful to look at. Really the type of detailing that you just kind of have to get the figure in person, hold it up and take a look at it yourself to really appreciate just how beautiful the sculpting of the very fine detailing is really overall. It is just breathtaking to look at in person. So a wonderful job as far as the very fine detailing goes on the figure, but I think the overall pose is really nice as well. Very nice, very relaxing, calm type of an appearance for the Edmontosaurus. He doesn't look panicked or anything. Looks like he's just kind of trotting along nice and slowly. Maybe heading down to some water to take a drink or something along those lines. Very relaxed look for the figure overall. And the paint job as well is really, really nicely done. Beautiful tones of color that they've chosen. All very natural looking tones. You've got a very nice light brown type of a color for the majority of the body, and then almost like hints of like an orangish brown on the tail and then up on the head. So there's some really nice variation of color included, but you also have that blackish type of a look coming from the upper side of the animal that kind of stripes down and spots all over the animal. Really cool looking appearance as far as that goes. Beautiful striping as you lead out the tail as well, and then you've got a nice light coloration for the underbelly. I believe it's like a white or an off-white, which looks really good, and then some red just kind of giving this a little bit of an extra flashy look up there on the crest to give it somewhat of a striking appearance along with the beautiful striping all over the animal, and I really think it's a wonderful look. Overall, very, very nice and natural looking coloration. So this is a very, very high recommendation from me for this figure. If you are interested in an Edmontosaurus figure, honestly, you're probably not going to find any better than this Safari LTD one, because this thing is just absolutely amazing in person. So I will include a link in the description to where you can head over to the Safari LTD website right now and place an order for this absolutely incredible looking Edmontosaurus. So make sure you head down to the description, go straight to the Safari LTD store and pick up this amazing looking Edmontosaurus figure. I can assure you, you will not regret that one bit. So make sure you do that. But before you do that, also make sure that you please like, comment, and subscribe. And I will see you in the next review. Thanks for watching.